Welcome into the Lucas and Lucas podcast on the eve of the biggest day in the history of the NBA. You know what I'm talking about. The 31 and 4 Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Emerson's own Sam Presti against Cleveland's own Mike Lucas. What a matchup we have, Mike. This is like the Super Bowl.
It is the best regular season matchup by the numbers in a long, long time. We won't bore you with the stats, but the Cavs have the number one offensive rating in the NBA. The Thunder have the number one defensive rating in the NBA.
All
The
right, so
Cavs.
let's move on to the NFL.
I got one more stat I want to mention just because this is pretty cool, Frank. It's the second highest combined average winning percentage for a regular season game after the first month of the year in the history of the league. So it's a regular season game. It is what it is. But this is rarefied air that the Cavs and Thunder are in tomorrow night.
It's very exciting. The whole sporting world will be glued into this one.
Will you
Pre-game.
watch? Will you watch? Yes or no?
No.
That's a loser move by you.
I started watching my new show is Suits. My
I've
wife
never
turned me
seen it.
onto it.
I'm watching The Sopranos. Have you seen that?
I watched the first three seasons and then I took a break.
I'm on season. I just got to season four. I'm like midway through season four right now.
Proud of you. All right, so let's move on to the National Football League. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. We'll start with I think the New England Patriots is pretty interesting because they had a chance to clinch the number one overall pick with a loss to the Bills on Sunday. Instead, Joe Milton III goes out there, former Tennessee Volunteer, and played an absolutely incredible game. Looked otherworldly, like a chance that this guy has a legitimate chance to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And Patriots go out there, they beat the Bills. They essentially traded the first pick to drop down to the fourth pick and got absolutely nothing in return. I was cheering so hard for the Patriots, probably as hard as I've cheered for the Patriots since the two Super Bowls against the Giants. This time though they came through, and the one thing I can't wrap my head around is if they knew they were going to fire Gerard Mayo and Robert Kraft had his statement ready to go, why even let him coach the game? Why not throw someone in there who doesn't give a crap about whether he's going to stay or go and go out there and do everything in your power to lose that game? Unless the Bills were just, I mean, the Bills also tried hard to lose the game too because they
Yeah,
played Josh
that's a
Allen
that's a
once.
big part of it, Frank. I don't think we could overlook that aspect of it. The uh, Bills not apparently, but appeared to go out of their way to ensure a New England victory. And I hear what you're saying about why not fire him before. I listen. Mike Vrabel is going to be the head coach of the New England Patriots. If he wasn't available, Gerard Mayo would still be coaching the Patriots. He would be their coach next season. This was a chance that Robert Kraft saw an opportunity to immediately upgrade as he's getting older and make the change now. But I think because of the relationship he has with Gerard Mayo, he owed it to him. Whether that's the right move or wrong, we could disagree and argue about. But I feel like Robert Kraft owed it to Gerard Mayo to let him finish out a full season. Let him go after the year. They can say whatever they want. The reality is Mike Vrabel was available. Mike Vrabel will be the new head coach of the Patriots, and that is an upgrade. Whether we want to discuss, argue, whatever, it's an objective
So do
upgrade.
you think Vrabel set up that meeting with the Jets like as soon as he
Yes,
possibly
yes,
could to yeah.
yes,
It's
yes,
such crap because I kind of I wanted
yes.
Vrabel and damn, it's just there's no chance he goes to the Jets if the Patriots are on the table. The one interesting thing was the Raiders because the Raiders as we're taping this at 2:09 p.m. Eastern time on a Tuesday afternoon have not fired Antonio Pierce yet. And I think a part of that is if if the Patriots had kept Mayo, but cause the main thing I wanted, Mike, was a Tom Brady versus Robert Kraft to see who can get Mike Vrabel to coach their team. That's what I wanted to see. The showdown. Who is Mike Vrabel more loyal to, Robert Kraft or Tom Brady? That's what I wanted to see. But it looks like
Yeah,
we're
we're
not
not,
going to get it.
unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get it. I totally listen, Frank. I'm with you. It would have been awesome, but I think Pierce is gonna stay now because I do think. By the way, I do think it is unfair to Gerard Mayo or really any coach to be fired after 1 year. It's so hard to establish a system in place, especially if you're taking over a team like the Patriots, who had a top three draft pick. The roster we all looked at entering the season saying this was one of the least talented rosters. What was your expectation? Sure, I have my qualms with Gerard Mayo, and I think a lot of Patriot fans were ready to move on. I'm not saying he's a good coach. I just think he got the wrong side of a bad deal here. And I also don't blame the Patriots because if Mike Vrabel is indicating to them, which I do believe he has, that he wants to be the next head coach, yes, That's an upgrade. Mike Vrabel is a top 10, in my opinion, coach in the National Football League. Gerard Mayo is an unproven commodity. And one thing that we can't overlook is Robert Kraft's old, Frank. He's old. He went on his whole hit streak this offseason with that documentary, trying to make it seem like he's more important. I don't think he wants to go through many more losing seasons because as the Patriots lose, his ability to win without Belichick and without Brady becomes less and less, and he becomes less important in that trio. So I think he's going to do everything in his power to turn New England back into a uh, formidable opponent on the schedule, and that starts with getting a head coach you know is damn good.
And
Also,
Robert
Rex
Kraft,
Ryan just finished his interview with the Jets.
who did?
Rex Ryan.
Oh, the whole like we interviewed this guy, we interviewed that guy. Like, I don't give a crap. Like, unless you make, until you make a hire, like the Jets are interviewing literally every. I had to literally write. I had actually had to decline the interview. I don't know if you saw it. I had to
I did.
decline.
I was very proud of you for putting priorities first and prioritizing your family and your wife over the Jets.
Yeah. So like the Jets are. I mean, they're interviewing so many people. I just didn't want to be a part of this mishmash of things. Like, if you really want me, then exclusively interview me. But if not, then I'm not being part of your game. But the other thing is the Patriots are playing this completely by the books because they've already interviewed or interviewing Byron Leftwich and Pete, I believe his name is Pep Hamilton.
Pep Hamilton.
Pep Hamilton. So they're already, they're already set. They're knocking the Rooney Rule requirements out of the way like as soon as possible. That way, that clears the way for them to get Mike Vrabel. It is literally the worst kept secret in the NFL. I told my coworkers yesterday that if Mike Vrabel for whatever reason is not the next head coach of the Patriots, I will do 200 consecutive push-ups without stopping. So
Nice.
that's what's on the table for me. It's annoying, but it is what it is. As for the Jets, as you sort of mentioned that, I made a list of like candidates I would like for them to get, and number one would have been Vrabel, but I don't think that's happening anymore. The other people that I think that I would want to see, if it's not him, are either Aaron Glenn or Joe Brady. Those are like my other top two guys. After that, you
Hmm.
you can't go back dancing with Rex Ryan again. Like what are we doing here? He's so bravado. Like we've been through the listen. He is the most successful Jets coach of the 21st century. Like it's not even debatable. What he was able to do with those teams and from 2009 2000 and I guess in the grand scheme of things, only real two playoff appearances, but two of the most successful seasons in team history. Um, I just I just can't see him rekindling the magic. And he's already like talking the talk about Rodgers and the country club. I just can't see that happening. So
I got to
I
ask you a question about the Jets, Frank. Do you think who they hire as a head coach will determine whether or not Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback again in 2025 or not?
Um, I mean, potentially, if the coach is like, I really want Aaron to stay, and then they go out of his way to like reach out to Rodgers and tell him like, listen, I'm going to take this job. Are you on board? And if Rodgers says yes, then there's your match. But if no, if it's Rex Ryan, Rodgers will not be the quarterback because Rex Ryan's already basically come out and said he doesn't want Aaron Rodgers to be his quarterback. So that's sort of where that stands. But Mike Vrabel has said he wants a quarterback in place, which is why the Patriots have Gerard Mayo. Sorry, have Drake May. So that's sort of there's no issue there. So if it's Vrabel, I think Rodgers would have to return because he wants a quarterback in place. But
It's
uh,
not Vrabel. You can just stop saying if it's not Vrabel. Sorry. Listen, if the Browns had fired Stefanski, Vrabel was my number one choice too. Like he's the best coach available, and the
I mean,
Patriots are
he, I
gonna
mean,
get
he
him.
as good as a coach he is, he's also a very arrogant,
Yeah.
powerful, power hungry person who wants a lot of control. And if I'm and that's part of the reason why he got fired from the Titans is because he was trying to boss too many people around. They were like, "Listen, you're the head coach. You can't control everything here." And that's a part, and it ended up being a terrible decision. Speaking of the Titans, so I can't say when teams do this. They're keeping the coach and they just fire the GM. Like, I just don't understand that. And it's organizational malpractices is what it is. Speaking of organizational malpractice, the Giants, John Mara goes out there, releases a statement that he's going to keep Joe Shane and Brian Dable, and then he says, "I'm out of patience." So like, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, so you're keeping these guys. You say you're out of patience. What does next season have to look like for them to keep their jobs? Does he have to make the playoffs? Like, because that's not happening. The Giants have way too
No.
many holes. There's way too many inconsistencies. They have no quarterback. You're going to get a rookie quarterback, Cam Ward, Sanders, to go in there and they do maybe 6 wins tops. Well, you have the hardest schedule in the league. Like, what does he expect? What are these guys? They're lame duck guys.
So I feel the same way I do with the Giants as I do with the Browns, which was if you are gung ho, all costs bared, on drafting a quarterback, you have to move on from the staff because I don't think it makes sense. And you're looking at Chicago as the perfect example right now to draft a quarterback with the coach on the hot seat and then potentially move on from said coach for the quarterback's second season and bring an entire new regime, offensive coordinator, head coach, etc. The Browns picking at 2 are in an easier position to get said quarterback than the Giants are, would have to most likely trade up ahead of either Cleveland or Tennessee to get one of the top 2 quarterbacks in this class as it currently stands. So I actually don't think the Giants are going to draft a quarterback unless they trade up, which I frankly would advise them not to. But the
So who do you
main
want them to
thing of
get?
all of this, what do you say?
Hunter? Hunter?
Hunter, I like Abdul Carter a lot out of
For the Giants at 3?
at Penn State. I mean, I wouldn't take. I'm just saying, guys, I like Travis Hunter. If the Giants are picking at 3 and the 2 quarterbacks go 1-2, he has to be the pick. It's a no brainer. They need they could use an
And then who's going to
extra.
play quarterback? Kirk Cousins?
That's the Justin Fields. I want to stay as far away from Kirk Cousins as humanly possible. I'd actually be interested in potentially seeing what Minnesota would want for JJ McCarthy. I don't think they would trade
JJ
him, but I would at
McCarthy is
least.
like, for whatever reason, he has like, people are viewing him like he is the next, like, Patrick Mahomes, Tom
No,
Brady.
no, 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 no.
And
But
like,
if he was in this
the
class,
mock
Frank, he'd be
trades I see on X and social media for JJ McCarthy is insane. This guy has not proven anything.
well. But if he was in this draft, he'd be the number 1 rated quarterback, and it wouldn't be close.
I don't know. This notion that JJ
He,
McCarthy is like the second coming of
no, listen. He was the 5th quarterback taken last year for a reason. He would be the number 1 quarterback in this year's class. So if you're thinking we don't love these 2 rookie quarterbacks, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, but we did like JJ McCarthy last year, you're essentially trading up to draft a guy. Now, granted, he's 1 year off his rookie deal, but whatever. It's not a JJ McCarthy discussion. There is no good bridge quarterbacks this year on the market. There is none. Jameis Winston might, honest to God, be the best option. And we've already spoken about Jameis Winston. He is exactly what you think Jameis Winston is going to be. Brian Daboll did get a Pro Bowl caliber season and won his playoff game with Daniel Jones as his quarterback. If he likes one of these bridge quarterbacks, even if I don't, I will defer and trust his judgment because I've seen him make magic with nothing. And I think Daniel Jones was nothing. And the fact that he was able to get one good season out of him proves that he's capable of wringing the towel dry of all the talent available in certain players. So I don't know what they're going to do, Frank. It scares me because I don't think they're in a position to trade up and draft a quarterback who isn't worthy of a top 2 pick, considering the assets you would have to give up with the other holes on the team. But I don't think playoffs is a requirement in 2025. I think they have to be competent and competitive right around 500, and maybe a few games don't go their way and they miss the playoffs with an 8-9 record, 7-10 record. But if they have another 4 or 5 win, 6 win season, they gone.
then they can't draft the quarterback because then you're setting up that guy to fail.
Yeah, I would
So
for the Giants. I prefer Travis Hunter. That is my dream scenario for Travis Hunter.
to play corner or receiver.
Primarily corner. I would use him on offense too, though.
I mean, that's what every team says, but I would play him exclusively. I would play him a receiver. I just think that he has a much like higher career trajectory at receiver. I think receivers last a lot longer. It's much harder to play corner. I think that, these physical receivers may overpower him a little bit. And I think he could be like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, like esque at receiver. I just think there's so much, and like you put him
But
with
he's
neighbors.
small though. The wear and tear. I mean, listen, he's proven
I
everyone
think I
wrong. I
think I
think
think he gets more worn and torn at corner than he does at receiver.
you getting hit as opposed to hitting.
Yeah, but the physical receivers like are always like pushing him off of him, and all that takes is AJ Brown to, like stiff arm him away, and they're free
All
to.
right, so what if he goes across the middle and gets freaking laid out here by Zach Bond or Roquan Smith? Like, listen, no one, no, we didn't play
I don't want
football,
Travis
Frank.
Hunter going to the Giants. That's the moral of the story. I want him going to the Jets, Jets. So the Browns are picking at 2. Deshaun Watson has a setback in his Achilles recovery, whatever the hell that means. Does that mean he retore the Achilles? Does that mean that he has a calf injury? What the hell does that mean?
I'll text you. I'll text you with the reality. I can't say it. It's not coming out till tomorrow. You can't say this.
All right, well, that's beside the point. So can you say are the Browns now in a position where they're gonna have to take a quarterback in the top 2 picks?
I believe so. Deshaun Watson is not in their plans whatsoever at all. He will never take a snap for the Browns again. He will never take a snap for the Browns again. They restructured the contract 2 weeks ago, which essentially made it easier for them to uh, cut him as a post June 1st cut following the 2025 season. He's coming off a Achilles injury. He apparently suffered some sort of setback to which we will know the full extent in the coming days, maybe hours. I'm not sure what time the news is going to break. Uh,
So if you know the story, why can't like your team break the story?
because the person who told me works for a much bigger organization, and they are. I'm not part of that
I would say every
organization.
story's got to be Schefter or Rappaport. Every single one.
It's gonna Pelissero is gonna break the story because the Browns feed Pelissero information. But just know it's out there. The Browns just can't confirm it till the tests come back tomorrow.
Got it. All right.
You get my text?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who are the Browns going to take? Shador or Cam?
I think if it was up to them and both were on the board, they would take Cam Ward. I believe from all indications, and maybe this changes now with the new general manager in Tennessee, that the Titans prefer Cam Ward as well, which would leave Shador Sanders. Now, I will say, if they're going to run Kevin Stefanski's offense, Shador Sanders is a better fit for Kevin Stefanski's offense than Cam Ward is. I don't think either's a particularly like plug and place fit, but he's more of a traditional West Coast passer than Cam Ward is, who's a little more improvisational than Shador is. They both have that little bit to their game, but Shador Sanders, I would guess right now, if gun to my head, I had to make a pick today, who would the Browns take at two? I would say Shador Sanders. However, I think the Browns are going to end up trading back, and it's either going to be the Giants or the Raiders are my two best bets for where a trade back is going to come. The underlying thing here in all this, Frank, with the Browns, they have a new dome opening in 2028.
Is that
Brand new.
official? Is that definitely happening?
They bought the land. The Haslams have bought the
But like
land.
didn't like the Chicago Bears buy like that racetrack area and nothing's happened?
Yeah, well, the reason it hasn't officially been official yet is the city is trying to fight and saying you can't because the Browns lost their team to the rate to Baltimore in '95. There's this thing called the Modell Law, the Art Modell Law, which means you can't leave the city that you're in unless you put the team up for sale first. The Browns are proposing to move literally a mile outside of city limits. 1 mile outside to Independence, Ohio. It is 1 mile outside of the city Cleveland limits. And the city of Cleveland's like, no, that breaks the Modell Law. The Modell Law wasn't meant to not leave. Like Dallas plays in Arlington. In theory, that's a breach of the Modell Law. It's going to get shut down in court. It's just they're still going through the legal process. They will be playing in the Brook Park Dome in 2028, 2029. And the big picture here for the Browns is Jimmy Haslam, in my opinion, is looking to have an attractive winning team in 28, 29, and 27, 28, as opposed to the next 2 years. So I could see them trading down, acquiring future draft capital to put them in a better position to make moves when it really matters because Jimmy's going to fund this dome a lot on his own. And if a billionaire is going to pay a lot of money to build something, he's going to want to reap the rewards. How do you reap the rewards? You have people
So,
buy
so
like
does Cleveland are they in favor of a dome? Are they like the because I mean when you think of like
more
Cleveland, you think of
more
the
people want the dome than not. Yeah, because part of the issue with the like it's awesome that the stadium's downtown. There's a giant part of the downtown lakefront that is used 9 times a year. That's it. They don't get concerts. They can't get a Final Four. It's out. There's gonna be so much more use of a domed mixed use facility like that. Uh, and the stadium downtown's 30 years old. It has to be renovated. It's frankly falling apart. I've only been there once, but everyone says it's one of the worst stadiums in football.
you've only
So
been there
it's
one time.
well, we do the post game shows, so I have to come back. So I could go for the first half and leave with my press pass, but like to get in and out, pay for parking, like it's a pain in the ass.
You can just walk.
Well, then I gotta leave in the second quarter to get back and get set up for the post game show.
All right, so the Jets will be picking seventh. They could have picked eighth if Sam Darnold would have shown up against the Detroit Lions, but
Once a Jet, always a Jet.
so Sam Darnold. This is very fascinating to me. So Sam Darnold, instead of pot, I thought the Vikings their celebration after beating the Packers was extremely over the top. Like
Yep.
Sam Darnold was being, he got lifted up by his teammates. They were doing the whole, water shower, and it was like, all right, what did they even accomplish here? I believe they already clinched a spot in the playoffs. That celebration was like, what was the point of this? And they go out there against the Detroit Lions with everything on the line in Week 18, number one seed, division title, and they lay an absolute egg. And all of the positive momentum circling around Sam Darnold basically all year is basically, in my
It
opinion, not.
evaporated like that.
And he's gonna go. They're gonna go now. They have to go on the road to the Rams, who basically got a week off because they didn't play anyone against it's the Seattle Seahawks in Week 18, and now you have to go to Sean McVay with basically a week rest with Stafford and Cup and Nakua and Kyron Williams, and you know what? They're going to lose, and the Vikings will then have a decision to make: Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. And given JJ McCarthy's meteoric stock rise over the past month, why wouldn't you go with JJ McCarthy? Sam Darnold, who is in a contract year when it mattered most, backed up against the wall, failed miserably. And when they lose to the Rams, they'll have a massive decision to make, and I would go JJ McCarthy. Sam Darnold will be a free agent, and I don't know. I don't know who's. Oh my God, the Patriots put Joe Milton's jersey in the team Hall of Fame. That is just organizational incompetence. He cost you the number.
Are you
I literally,
serious?
huh?
Are you serious?
Yes. This Patriots Hall of Fame. This tweet I saw from Patriots Hall on Instagram, the latest edition of the at Patriots Hall of Fame. Joe
Yeah,
Milton's
that's
jersey. That is,
nasty.
that is, I mean, I don't know, is that a troll job? I mean, my God. Sometimes things happen in sports and life that you can't believe that it's real. And that is one of them. I literally was like gonna say like on Sunday that if Joe Milton wins this game, like put him in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But apparently the Patriots took that literally. They put him in the Team Hall of Fame, which is just
Well, we do know you have a massive influence over Boston sports and the teams that call Boston home. So I'm not surprised.
so if Sam Darnold sucks against the Rams, which I fully expect him to do.
Yeah, then it's a serious conversation you have to have. However, if I'm Minnesota, and there's no guarantee with any of these quarterbacks, you draft a rookie. Caleb Williams was supposed to be the surefire hit. Trevor Lawrence was the best prospect coming out since Andrew Luck. Bo Nix was not supposed to be very good, and like so, you never know with these guys.
First of all, no, I'm still not a believer in Bo Nix.
I'm not either
I
necessarily.
am highly concerned that Trevor Lawrence will ever be like a legitimate like I know he had some success, but like is this was supposed to be the
A
AFC
legit
South was
tier one guy.
yeah, and he already got paid, so he's fine financially. But I'm concerned that he will never be like because theoretically the AFC South should be running through Jacksonville for the next 10.
Breaking news: the Jets have requested to interview Darren Rizzi for their open head coaching position.
They had I guess I mean they had to get another guy with after I dropped out, so it makes sense. Sam Darnold, what were we just talking about? Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy. Stop getting me sidetracked with these ridiculous Jets interviews. It's really a waste of everyone's time. Another quarterback that's on the hot seat, Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson and the Steelers have lost four straight games, limping into the playoffs, and there's no chance that Russell Wilson's gonna be able to flip the switch. And he's also on a 1 year
No.
deal. So that's another fascinating. I think if when they lose to the Ravens on Saturday night, that will be the last game he starts for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're either going to go with Justin Fields or going a completely different direction because Russell Wilson has once again proved that he cannot. That it's just over for Russell Wilson, and it looked promising there for a couple of weeks, but whatever's going on with George Pickens, completely, just devastating to their offensive passing attack, and he does not look good either. So it's very fascinating. These two guys that everyone thought was like going to get massive contract extensions with their teams, ending the season on an atrocious note, and
Darnold's still going to make a ton of money this year.
a ton
For
of money.
something.
What is it? So
Still,
can you,
he's
can
still going to
you,
make a ton of money.
what can you define what a ton of money means?
He'll get 30 million a year more.
From who?
Some team. If the Vikings don't re-sign him, he's the number one bridge quarterback option on the market. So he will have plenty of suitors interested in his services. Russell Wilson, I don't think will have a ton of interest, similarly to when he was leaving Denver. Like I'm pretty sure he's going to end up going back to Pittsburgh just because of the fit. But it comes down to this, Frank, and this is big picture with all of this. The Browns, the Giants looking for a bridge quarterback. You can win a few games with a average to slightly above average quarterback in the regular season. You can even win a playoff game. But the reality is you have a ceiling and a hard cap. And trying to compete against the Patrick Mahomes, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrow, even though this case his defense let him down, the Jared Goffs, you need to have a top tier level quarterback or you just won't be able to hang in
All
week in,
right,
week
two
out.
questions before we go. Who is your league MVP? Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
Josh Allen.
Why?
This was supposed to be a rebuilding year. They lost Stephon Diggs. They cut a ton of guys for cap reasons, and they had the best season they've had under Josh Allen's tenure. He cut down on the turnovers and was equally as efficient as a runner as he was a passer.
So why
But it's
not Lamar?
preference. It's preference. If you want to say Lamar, I have no argument against it. It's purely preference.
Okay,
And
I
I bet
always
Josh
was
Allen.
Josh Allen because
So
I thought he did more with less, but that's beside the point.
yeah.
And then who is your Super Bowl pick? Who versus who and who wins?
I'm not picking against the Chiefs, even though I hate it. I'll give me the Chiefs over the Eagles.
All right, I have Chiefs Lions. It's so hard to three-peat. I feel like the Lions are the team of destiny. I'm gonna go Lions over the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
If the Lions were a little healthier, that was my pick. I picked the Lions before
Well,
the
I think
season.
Anzalone coming back, whatever
Was huge,
he
huge.
transformed that defense.
Yeah,
Like
I
literally,
just
just that one guy coming back made them look like a completely different team.
I hope they get some more guys back because that team's really 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 fun to watch. Frank, this was a good one.
That will do it for this edition of Lucas Podcast. We'll see who else the Jets look to interview for their head coaching position and their GM position. So a lot of stuff to fill out here, and we'll maybe have a new head coach for the Jets in the next 2 months. Peace.
Later.